What's up, everyone? It's me, Jonathan. I was just thinking, it's interesting to look back at World War II and how the entertainment industry, everything from comics to movies, mostly comics, but other things in there as well, used to talk about what was happening in the world, about what America's role should be in the war, before the government came around and decided to intervene. Like, let's take Captain America Comics #1. Came out a year before Pearl Harbor happened, and it shows Captain America hitting Hitler right in the face. This is a time where there were still Nazi rallies going on in the US. People siding with him. I think Times Magazine put Hitler as Person of the Year. There was a lot of support for these people in the US. And at this time, they put him getting his ass beat by Captain America right on the cover of the very first issue. They took a stand. They made a stance. Because it wasn't just a foregone conclusion that we would come down on the right side of this conflict. It really wasn't. But Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, the creators of Captain America, they didn't care. They used their art and their voice to make a stance, to say something. And it wasn't without pushback. There are stories, it's told in one of Jack Kirby's biographies, about how these three guys came to Timely Comics, called up to the office, and told Jack Kirby to come downstairs if he wanted to know what real Nazis would do to him. So Jack Kirby just rolled up his sleeves and went downstairs to kick their ass. But of course, by the time he got there, they were gone, because they're cowards. All of these people are cowards. All these white supremacist motherfuckers are cowards. It's the one unifier that they all have. But Captain America wasn't the only hero to take on these losers. Jerry Siegel and Schuster used Superman to do the same thing. A couple years before we entered the war, they had a little short story where Superman ended the war. He arrested Hitler and Stalin and brought them up on criminal charges. These types of stories, these types of stances and messages are important. They mean something. Why did we get away from this? Why did we stop? Hollywood, on the other hand, was a little less bold. They didn't make as many stances as the comic book industry did, but they did have some, like the Hitler Beast of Berlin. That movie called out what was happening. It made a stance. And this was... It showed evil for what it really was. Evil. They didn't mince words with it. They didn't hide around. They didn't pussyfoot around with things. They said it. They were like, this is what this is. And like the comics, it faced backlash. Theaters refused to show it. Their sets were attacked and burned down. But they still made the movie. They finished it. They kept going. Art is supposed to have something to say. It's supposed to call out those in power and speak for those who can't speak for themselves. Our societies are built on stories, both true and fiction, and that they define who and what we are as a people. We use them to give ourselves strength and to face our fears. We use them to overcome unbeatable odds and triumph over them. And it seems to be something that is lacking from the modern world. We have less and less stories coming out that make a stand, that have a stance, that say something cogent about what is happening in modern society. We stopped speaking truth to power. And whenever we do, whenever there's even a little bit of a hint at calling these things out, you get people on the internet crying, melting down about how it's just ruining movies and TVs and whatever else. And then these same people turn around and talk about how things used to be better, how movies and TV shows didn't used to be preachy, how they just told their stories and shut up. But the stories they reference that they loved from when they were young were all preachy as hell. And, newsflash, when you look into these people's politics and you look into the shit they talk about that they loved when they were a kid, They were normally the bad guys in those movies. Their viewpoints don't align with what the story's telling them. They just didn't get it. Maybe because they were younger when they watched it. Maybe because they weren't paying attention. Maybe because they just don't understand how messaging works. But the stuff that they're complaining about now is so watered down and hollow compared to the stuff that they praise that condemns them a hell of a lot more. And you really just gotta wonder what the hell is wrong with our society. Are we just that stupid? Did we lose all sense of intelligence or critical thinking? Like, can we not understand? Is there no media literacy? It's frustrating. It is so frustrating living in this society. These people have no capability to understand what a story is saying unless it spells it out for them in black and white. And then they cry about it when it does. A literate society is less likely to allow themselves to be mistreated, is less likely to be abused by the elites, the people in power, to let the government run rampant. Over half of the adults in the US read below a 6th grade level. Is it any wonder that we've allowed this shit to happen the way it has? When the Revolutionary War happened in this country, the colonies were some of the most literate people on the planet, at least in the Western world. More than any of other England's colonies, more than England itself. And you saw how that worked. It's not too late to turn things around. People just got to get out of their own way and start to learn, start to read, start to study. Stop listening to angry people on the internet. Hi. And start to actually sit down and look at what's happening and why they are so complacent in allowing it to happen. And people who are artists, whether they're writers or painters or filmmakers, they gotta start taking swings again. They gotta put themselves out there and take a stand for what's right. Anyways, I just wanted to rant. I'm Jonathan. Give us legends.